The Color of Money was released, which hooked him up with Paul Newman. Many years later, on the Graham Norton Show, Tom would tell about one lesson from Paul Newman, which could only be learned by working on the set for a long time. That lesson Cruise would remember for a lifetime. Filming took place in Chicago in January, and it was very cold outside. And while Tom was freezing in a leather jacket with a summer t-shirt, Newman was sitting in a car with an electric heater and a warm coat. They exchanged surprised glances, having met in a joint scene, and Newman did not miss a chance to tease the aspiring actor.
So I have this scene where he's in the car and I'm next to him. He had the warm coat. He had the heater in there, but it was an electric heater, okay? And he just loved the fact that he's driving this car and he's got the electric heater, the warm coat, and I'm in the t-shirt, and he looked at me, he's like, t-shirt. He said, you tried your wardrobe on in the summer, didn't you? And I was like,
In 1988, Cruise appeared in the movie Cocktail, which was nominated for the 9th Golden Raspberry Awards in 4 nominations at once, and the actor himself was nominated for the Razzie Award for Worst Actor. However, in the same year, Tom played with Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man, which turned out to be much more successful. Hoffman and Tom Cruise questioned the film's potential and jokingly called it two jerks in a car. Hoffman did not believe in the potential of the film and his performance so much that 3 weeks after the start of the project, he wanted to leave it, telling director Barry Levinson, "Invite Richard Dreyfuss, invite someone, Barry, because this is the worst job of my life." Oh, if Hoffman only knew that he would receive the Academy Award for Best Actor for his work. Cruise rehearsed his role with Hoffman throughout the filming, sometimes changing roles. Once in an interview, Sir Michael Caine admitted that the role of Tom Cruise in Rain Man was one of his favorites from everything he had ever seen in a movie. He said with great sincerity, "Tom's performance was perfectly played." Tom Cruise was required to have a lot of discipline and responsibility so that the viewer could empathize with his character. In the first release weekend, the film got only $6 million, showing a lower result than expected. But in the following weeks, it caused an excitement and was on top of the box office. As a result, the picture received extremely positive reviews and eventually got cult status. The film won an Academy Award, and Tom Cruise received the Kansas City Film Critics Circle Award for Best Supporting Actor. In 1989, Cruise appeared in Born on the 4th of July, where he played the role of a paralyzed Vietnam War veteran, Ron Kovich, who was a real historical figure. Thanks to the film, he got the Golden Globe Award for Best Actor, the Chicago Film Critics Association Award, the People's Choice Award, as well as a nomination for the BAFTA Award and Tom's first nomination for the Best Actor Academy Award.
Winner is Tom Cruise, born on the 4th of July.
Every year, Tom Cruise became an increasingly important figure in Hollywood. For example, in 1990, the actor was recognized as the sexiest man alive by People magazine. The actor's next film was Days of Thunder in 1990. The romantic sports-adventure drama directed by Tony Scott fixed Tom up with a young actress named Nicole Kidman. Cruise approved the actress's candidacy as his character's love interest after watching her in Dead Calm on the recommendation of the director. The idea of Days of Thunder was born from when Tom and Paul Newman were allowed to test one of Rick Hendrix's racing cars. The production of the film started without a finished script. It was the first picture for which Tom helped write the script. Scenes were often born right on the day of filming. During one of the driving episodes, Tom Cruise actually had to read his lines from the tips attached to the windshield, which led to a small accident. In the subsequent driving scenes, the actor was provided with a special earphone to make hints. Tom has loved racing in cars all his life, and when he was growing up, he often watched racing competitions on TV. Working with Paul Newman on The Color of Money, they only talked about cars. Once, Tom told Paul that he would like to try himself in that field, and he offered him a try. Cruise arrived at the quarter-mile track, and Paul Newman, being familiar with a large number of riders, borrowed the car for a while. And Tom managed to drive a Nissan GT3 car. The host of the show, David Letterman, noticed that it was a more modified model of the car that Tom could have bought himself.
You ought to try it out, so I drive a GT3 car for his race team.
Now, what does that mean when you say GT3? What is that exactly?
Well, it's like There's GT1, GT2,
Oh, I see.
GT3, GT4.
Despite the fact that the model accelerated to 150 miles per hour, Tom failed to get that speed. However, at the Pocono competitions in the summer of 1988, he accelerated to 145 to 146 miles per hour. In Days of Thunder, most of Tom Cruise's stunts were performed by NASCAR driver Greg Sacks. Even then, Tom had a craving for extreme sports and wanted to do stunt driving himself, but for insurance reasons, he was not allowed. Chevrolet brand cars were prepared by Rick Hendricks's racing team, which later used some cars in real races. During the filming, 35 cars were crushed. The film turned out to be a bit unrealistic in terms of special effects, characters, and fake dialogues. It got mixed reviews. However, it was Quentin Tarantino's favorite big-budget film about racing. The director believed that the picture should not be taken seriously and in fact was quite funny. In 1992, the couple appeared in another joint project, Far and Away, directed by Ron Howard. The actors played the roles of Irish immigrants seeking happiness in America in the 1890s, which led them to the land run of 1893. Cruise's acting career continued to go uphill. In 1993, the actors starred in the legal thriller The Firm, directed by Sidney Pollack, based on the novel of the same name by author John Grisham. During the production of the film, Tom reached an agreement with Paramount that only his name could appear above the title on the poster. Gene Hackman, who joined the shooting not from the beginning of the project, wanted his name to appear on top too, but he demanded that his name be removed from the poster altogether after being refused. The film was a great commercial success, grossing $270 million with a budget of $42 million. Every year, Cruise's projects became larger and more diverse, although the actors still focused on action films such as sports and military dramas. The next picture in which Cruise played was a surprise for many who closely followed the actor's career. In 1994, the film Interview with the Vampire was released. It was a gothic drama in the horror genre directed by Neil Jordan, based on Anne Rice's 1976 novel of the same name. The big-budget movie adaptation received an all-star cast. Therefore, Tom Cruise was on the set with another handsome Brad Pitt, who was becoming increasingly popular. They performed together as the main roles of the novel as Lestat de Lioncourt and Louis de Pontelac. Filming was not easy for Tom. Actors playing vampires had to hang upside down for up to 30 minutes during makeup, and the blood rushed to their heads in that position, causing the blood vessels in their faces to swell. Then the makeup artists highlighted the swollen veins, creating an eerie look with translucent skin. The poor devils had to repeat the process several times as the blood quickly flowed back. Because of that, the makeup process took a very long time. Cruise spent 3.5 hours in the makeup chair every day. On the set, Tom again got into an awkward position because of his height. The actor had to occupy elevations to reduce the difference in height with other vampires during some scenes. In addition, during the filming, tension arose between Tom Cruise and Brad Pitt due to Pitt's allegedly poor personal hygiene. According to Cruise, his film colleague did not use deodorant, and because of that, the smell of sweat became noticeable. But how true that was, we probably won't know in any way. Tom Cruise prepared for the role of Lestat by watching videos of lions attacking zebras in the wild. By the way, Johnny Depp was offered that role before Tom Cruise, but he refused. The film was well received, although initially the author of the novel, Anne Rice, criticized the casting of Cruise for the role of Lestat. Later, when she saw the film, she was pleasantly surprised and even apologized to Tom. She paid $7,740 for a 2-page advertisement for the film in Daily Variety, in which she praised his performance and apologized for doubting him. The film got $223 million and was awarded an Oscar nomination for Best Art Production and Best Original Soundtrack. Since then, Tom Cruise has been sending Kirsten Dunst a coconut cake with pieces of white chocolate every Christmas. Dunst calls it the Cruise cake, which she is always happy to receive. The actress admits that the cake never stays longer than a day. Meanwhile, until the beginning of 1996, the filming of perhaps the most significant picture in Cruise's career took place. Participation in that particular film would become the most recognizable role of Tom Cruise and would probably forever fix the image of a top agent named Ethan Hunt for him. Mission Impossible, directed by Brian De Palma, became both a continuation of the 1966 TV series and its reinterpreted sequel. Tom Cruise was the first producer of the film in which he played the main role. Paramount Pictures owned the rights to the TV series and tried to shoot a full movie for years, but could not come up with a viable interpretation. Tom Cruise had been a fan of the show since he was young and thought it was a good idea for his next movie. The actor chose Mission Impossible as the first project of his new production company and convinced Paramount to allocate a budget of $80 million. Cruise and his production partner Paula Wagner worked on the story for several months with director Sidney Pollack before the actor hired Brian De Palma for the production. Cruise met De Palma while working on Interview with the Vampire. It happened during dinner with Steven Spielberg. The actor was impressed by De Palma's filmography, so when he returned home, he watched all the director's films and convinced himself to hire De Palma for Mission Impossible. I loved the TV series when I was growing up. I loved the music, and to be able to turn it into a feature film and really take it from a Cold War series to this, to bring it to modern audiences in cinema as something that is there without a doubt the most challenging films to produce, the challenging films to make. The process of working on the script was not easy. The idea was repeatedly revised. The initial and final episodes were rewritten by Steve Zavillian, David Knopp, and Robert Towne, and the dialogues were finalized for a long time by Willard Hayek and Gloria Katz. Only the main plot remained unchanged.
The journey that Ethan Hunt and his team go through, it is an odyssey, and definitely inspired and reflective of that story. It's an epic tale. It's a personal tale, and there's incredibly huge stakes, emotional stakes, I think, for the characters.
De Palma convinced Cruise to shoot the first act of the film in Prague because it was a city that was rarely seen in Hollywood films at that time. The management wanted to save the budget, but Tom wanted a spectacular and impressive action movie. However, they still managed to save part of the budget since Tom wanted to perform most of his stunts on his own. Although some of them were really dangerous, the thirst for extremes finally got the upper hand over the actor. For example, during the filming of the famous scene in which Tom Cruise fell from the ceiling and hovered a few inches above the ground, his head kept hitting the floor until he came up with the idea to put coins in his shoes for balance. The CD trick that Tom Cruise did to fool the Jean Reno character was a real sleight of hand trick, without editing. The scene in the restaurant with glass walls and a giant aquarium with lobsters in the middle was Cruise's idea. De Palma tried to shoot that scene with a stuntman, but it didn't look real, and he allowed Cruise to do it, even despite the possibility that the actor might drown. Mission Impossible was released on May 22, 1996, and broke the record on the premiere day of the screening with 11.8 million ahead of Terminator 2: Judgment Day. Tom Cruise refused his usual $20 million fee in favor of a significant percentage of the box office. Chicago Sun-Times film critic Roger Ebert rated the film well and wrote, "This is a movie that exists in an instant, and we have to exist in an instant to enjoy it." However, some actors of the original series were dissatisfied with the reinterpretation of their characters. Thanks to the success, the picture would make a series of spy thrillers, and Mission Impossible and Tom Cruise would return to the role of Ethan Hunt. In the same year, the romantic comedy drama Jerry Maguire was released, where Cruise acted with Renee Zellweger. It was another film for Tom that was a financial success, and critics praised the acting and the script. The movie was nominated for 5 Academy Awards, including Best Actor. It was Tom Cruise's second nomination. In addition, the film got 3 Golden Globe nominations, one of which was received by Cruise. At the same time, the actor was considered for the main role in the sci-fi thriller The Matrix, which, as a result, went to Keanu Reeves. In 1998, Tom Cruise won a court case against the British tabloid Daily Express, which claimed that his marriage to Kidman was a fiction to hide his homosexuality. Over time, the courts would become a usual thing for the actor. A year later, Tom reappeared on screen with Nicole Kidman in their third joint film, Eyes Wide Shut. It was an erotic detective psychological drama by Stanley Kubrick. Unfortunately, the director died 6 days after showing the final version of the film to Cruise and Kidman and the management of Warner Bros. Pictures. Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman had signed indefinite contracts, agreeing to work on the project until Stanley Kubrick released them, no matter how long it took. The couple lived in the UK for so long because of the protracted filming that their 2 children acquired an English accent. Director Stanley Kubrick joined psychoanalysis sessions with Tom Cruise and Nicole Kidman to prepare his stars for their roles. He forced them to confess their fears about the relationship and their real marriage. According to Kidman, it was extremely honest and blurred the line between them and their fictional characters. Both have vowed never to reveal what they discussed during those sessions. Unfortunately, psychoanalysis did not help the couple to maintain a relationship